stuff. So Pat is reading titles, and our judge is Charlie Ginsburgh. Charlie has been a monthly judge for us for monthly competitions for some 7 years now. This is his seventh time. He's also a regular judge for end of the year competitions. I think he's done that 5 or 6 times as well. So well appreciated by all our members, because judges come back because we get good feedback from the members. So welcome, Charlie. Glad to have you here once again. And I'll put the images up.
Critique feedback, there's all levels, two images.
Oh, and I'll mention that we'll first cover critique feedback, then humor, the special alternate category, and then travel. And then we'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll cover nature and pictorial. Okay.
The Elks Club has gone to the dogs.
Hey, can everybody hear me fine? I want to make sure. And if for some reason my audio cuts out, I've had some sporadic problems. Try to indicate, let me know. I've got a separate laptop set up that I can immediately log on with that if this becomes an issue. But it's not so far. So great. Okay, so I just want some critique on this kind of issue here. And so we have a creative issue where, you know, we've got this image and we've got a dog's head on top of that as a composite. And not being as familiar with the trappings or the process of the Elks Club, I'm only assuming that that's Elks Club regalia that the person is on, and that's fine. So as a composite, you know, things always to look at is to worry about some of the lighting. And what we're seeing is there's a little bit of rim lighting on that dog that isn't on the rest of the image. And I suspect that the original image that came from that's a holdover from that. So that's one thing that you need to be aware of if you look at these, to make sure that the lighting is appropriate for all the pieces you put together in a composite. And by getting rid of some of that rim lighting, blends it together much better. Now, the other thing I noticed was that there's either a treatment been done on the body, or this is AI generated. Okay, I'm not sure which it is. And so I'll just say that, you know, definitely if it's a treatment done on the processing of the body, that's fine. If it's an AI generated image, then we're really getting out of the bounds of photography and you're getting into a digital image. And that's such a significant part that would not be appropriate for a photography, or to say that this is a photograph or a composite of photographs. So that's something to just to be aware of if you're the maker. Great, thank you. Next.
The portal.
Yeah, this is a great image. I love the shading of it, the different angles we have in there, the different elements. I think that's done very nicely. And I think it was a good eye to see this, and I think he did a nice job in capturing it. You know, it's got some interesting geometric shapes, it's got some different angles going different ways, and there's a lot of interesting lighting all around it. Plus, I do like that little pinstripe around the outside. It really separates your image away from the presentation background. Only suggestion I might make here is that there is some detail in that brightest part, and I would have toned that down a little bit. I toned that down to make it not quite as bright as it is, to allow some additional detail to show through. And I think that would balance it a little bit more without losing the intent of where you're trying to go with the image. So just something to think about. Thank you.
Humor, basic, 2 images. Forget the jelly. I'd rather lick the peanut butter jar.
Yeah. Okay, so to me, this was a difficult subject to judge, because what's funny or humorous to one person may not be to another. And so it's a very subjective element as to whether this reflects humor. And in that way, I don't know if this is the best category for this, but we'll try to do the best we can here. So here, you know, we do have this this baboon, I think it's a baboon, licking the peanut butter jar, and got an interesting expression on his face, and your title sort of lets us know what you consider to be humorous about that. And so I think all those things show up very nicely here. The story's cleanly told as an image, and I think the caption is appropriate as well. Thank you.
The cake was special ordered a week ahead of time. We let the birthday boy hold it. He has never outgrown his propensity for chaos and destruction.
Yeah, so that's sort of fun. When I first read this, I thought I didn't read Birthday Boy, and I thought maybe it was a delivery person or somebody who got overzealous. But this is the 85-year-old birthday boy who perhaps lend itself to this destruction. And that's sort of a fun thing. So yeah, it's a fun element here. You got the cake that's been a little bit disrupted in many ways, but you still have a good picture of the cake and the event going on. I think you captured that as well. So a fun event, sort of a humorous aspect to it that you're trying to show in the image. Thank you.
Humor advanced 8 images. 105 degrees in the effing shade.
Yeah, so there you got the animal's pose and what he's doing. I mean, that may be that he is cooling himself in that way. So it's just sort of fun. And I love your title as well. Again, the subject is really portraying the humorous aspect to this. The image itself portrays it nicely. Not a lot of distractions around there. So it's easy to focus just on the subject and then to read the caption to enjoy this aspect of this image. Thank you.
Wait for me.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Fun. The ducks and the chicks and the falling behind, that one behind there, nicely seen and nicely captured. I think that works out pretty nicely. I think your story's well told, although I don't know if you need quite as much of the image. I would have probably focused in quite a bit more significantly to the wake, the ducks in there, because that's your story. And that's your humorous aspect for it. So if you can make that a larger percentage of the image, then the story is going to be told a little bit better. So I would consider that. As true with many aspects of photography, less is more, and less of everything on the outside may make more of an effective story. Thank you.
Bubble pop.
Yeah. Okay. Kids are always great. You got the kids in bubbles. He's got his baseball. He's got his funny glasses on there and a normal kid shape. I think kids smile and pose. Very, very, appropriate. I love the aspect of this as well. It's sort of a wide angle lens taken from the front down, makes his head bigger. So he's a bigger aspect to the whole image. So those are sort of fun things. And with all the other stuff going on, it's just sort of a fun, humorous image to take in. Thank you.
Going in circles.
Yeah, I like this one. I like that the maker has taken this idea of the shell going in directions and just added their own little humorous points with going in circles and all these different ways. And I think there's a lot of intent shown here, and I think it's just sort of a fun thing. I sort of like this one. I just enjoyed looking at it, looking at all the diverging paths and thinking about what the photographer was thinking about as he was doing that. And so I think this one really does show a set of planned humor, not just situational, and the image itself is showing it very nicely. Thank you.
You know what they say about dogs and their owners.
Yeah, that they often have the same type of look there, and your image is really showing that. Again, great image of the dog, great image of the owner there. They're both showing up very nicely. They're both looking right at the photographer, so they're engaging in the viewer. I think that's appropriate. Similar expressions on both. They both have those wide open eyes and that, big foreheads and such. I think that's a lot of fun. Also, the way you took the image, there's interesting background elements. It all supports the image nicely, but none of it detracts from the real story. So I think you did a nice job there. Thank you.
Rhino.
Yeah, up close and personal, you know. I hope this was either a very wide angle, a very telephoto lens, or you had it on a situation, then you move back again. I hope that was the case, but it's just sort of fun. You get the up close rhino, and that would be a little bit more difficult to understand if you didn't have that rhino in the background. And I think both those elements together work very nicely. You get a good feeling for the plane there. You're just really down low looking up, so we have a big sky, but I think that works out very nicely in here. And just sort of a fun alternate way of looking at that. It does give me a little bit of the willies as I'm thinking about where the photographer was sitting, but perhaps there's a story behind that as well. Thank you.
Busting out and barreling in.
Yeah. So here we have the bull barrel riding contest here, and one of the contestants I love has a painted face, and that's sort of fun. Of course, the way her bust is moving with the flow of the action is part of this story, as well as your title sort of emphasizing that. So that here's that humorous aspect to it. But then again, that place and time as things are happening gives us an interesting sense of time and space as well. Thank you.
Footlaw, no hands.
Yeah, fun image where you're giving some meaning into their play, and these I believe are lemurs, and they're very playful, and that's part of their growing up and part of just their general nature. And I think that works out nicely. In this case, the lemurs tend to blend in with the background, so it isn't. You have to work harder to see the subjects to understand what the title is telling us and understand the humorous nature of it. And so in this case, I might have worked a little bit harder trying to blur the background, maybe darken the background a little bit to bring those lemurs out so the story could be told more effectively. Yes, there's a sense of humor in there, but I think the story is lost in that you have to work so hard to really identify the subjects, which are really the basis of the humor. Thank you.
Basic plus intermediate, 5 images. Masai Mara, men clad in their suka clothes, leading their cattle down a sun-baked road in Kenya. Cattle are more than livestock to them. They represent wealth, status, nourishment, and identity.
Yeah, this is a simple image, yet there's a lot to it. And giving us a feeling of the people, of their values, giving us a feeling of the people and their native dress and how they typically behave. You give the feeling of them driving the animals down the road. We have a wonderful feeling of the environment with the dirt road, the things on the side, the mistiness of it. There's a lot of wonderful things that really gives me a feeling of the place, the people, and some of their values. And so I think all that works out very nicely. And so although there's not a lot of architectural structure or feeling for what the environment is like, we still get a good sense of the people in this place. And I think that's an excellent objective to have in the travel photography. Nice job. Thank you.
Rooftop coffee after the red eye and the Airbnb failure that landed me at the only hotel that would let me check in at 1:30 a.m. Good morning, Seattle.
Okay, so this is sort of a different type of travel image. Yes, it shows us a place, Seattle, and you've given us some hallmarks in terms of the Seattle environment with the wheel there on the coast, on the sound. You get the water there. You got an interesting sky, but and then you have the accoutrements of the housing, the coffee early in the morning. Maybe it's a hotel ticket or airline ticket. I don't know, but it's some sort of travel related ticket. So the story of travel is also being highlighted in this image, and you got some accoutrements that sort of tell this story slightly, but the caption really lets us know the relative aspect of it. The fact of the late check-in, the limited amount of space or places that allow that late check-in or early morning check-in, and then the whole situation. So besides just showing us the place, you're emphasizing the aspect of travel And that's sort of an interesting aspect for this division. Thank you.
Lagoa das Sete Cidades, twin caldera lakes, top blue, bottom green, said to be the eye color young lovers. Forbidden to marry stood on the bridge, cried into the lakes. São Miguel Island, Azores.
All right, so fun stuff here. You're telling us where it is, the Cerro Miguel Island in the Azores, and the name of the area. That's the Twin Caldera Lakes. That's great. There's a definite green cast to that, and you can give us a little bit of the lore said to be to account for that green cast. So the green cast isn't just bad for, isn't an artifact of the photography. It's really there, and there's a lore as to why it's there. I think you've given us that in your caption. So here, besides just showing us the place, you're giving us just a little bit more about how the people have interpreted the place. And I think that's a very effective and a great goal for travel photography. Not every image has that. Pictorially speaking, I don't know if you need quite as much as the sky. And, I would probably be tempted to bring in a little bit detailed in the shadowed areas around the tree lines midway through the picture, because there are some rather darker areas that if we had a little bit more detail in there, I think it would balance the image a little bit. But those are pictorial elements that aren't as critical in this travel presentation. Thank you.
Iron Age Farm, historical site, 1200 BC to 600 BC. Ulonghog Stavanger, Norway, July 2024.
Right, so he's showing us this historical site that was in the Iron Age element, and give us the dates approximate when they would be there. So pictorially, we're seeing these stone structures. We're seeing maybe some structures with the grass roofs, some areas out there. And then we have this one person in a red cape. Whether this is someone reenacting a normal customary costume of the area, or whether that's another tourist, we don't know. So the significance of that person is less of a contributing factor. Also here you have a real layered effect where you have that bright sky that really is not adding a lot to it. So I perhaps would have cropped down on that a little bit and tried to emphasize more upon the stone structure. It would have been nice to see a little bit more of the stone structure, though, in the image. I mean, that really is the basis of this, but we'll take what we got here. Thank you.
Laundry Day, Porto, Portugal, October 2023.
All right, so I think it's a real important thing to show real life in some of these areas, and that's what you're showing here, just real life. But you've done it in not only showing me the real life in terms of the laundry being hung there, but you're giving us a really interesting view of all sorts of different type of architecture, sort of a dilapidated state, especially with that roof line there, all those different pipes and the bare wall underneath there. Just gives us a feeling for this place. Now, this is sort of daily life, so you're just giving me a slice of that, but I think that works in this case, so thank you.
Travel, advanced, 4 images. Morning at White River Camp, Altai Mountains foothills in Western Mongolia near China. One stop on a camel-supported journey.
Okay, so here we have an area of this locale here. It's part of this camel journey, which the caption mentions, and we do see camels in the background. That's nice. This isn't artificial either. I mean, these are modern day tents that are being used in this journey, and so there's that mixture of new versus the older landscape in Mongolia. So I think that's sort of a fun aspect as well. So again, this is a real journey that any one of us could take if we knew the location and where this type of thing was there. You give us a feeling of the area around there, and I think that works out very nicely. I don't know if you need quite as much of the dried riverbed on the bottom. Lots of interesting sky. If we could have taken it a little higher up to capture a little bit more of the landscape, That would have been nice, but that may not have been a possibility based off of where you were. So I'm enjoying what we do have, and I sort of do enjoy the fact that we've got a camel-supported journey in Eastern Mongolia using modern-day equipment, and that's sort of a fun mixture to give us a sense. Thank you.
Dawn, Hot Springs, Nevada. Rising steam is a common sight in this area due to the natural process of heated water and steam rising from the Earth's subsurface.
Great image. Perfect time to take this in. Let's see. Yeah, dawn. Okay, so it's dawn. So we get the dawn sky there. I wasn't sure if this was dawn or sunset. Dawn. And so I love the sky, but that low light has really brought out the steam. So you're enhancing the steam as well. Yeah, you still give us a feeling of sort of, I don't know, that may have been some snow-covered ground a little bit on the that we see in the bottom as well. So we're getting a real good sense of the area and what it's like with all and in this hot spring area. And not only do we have those geothermal events going on that are giving us the steam, but interesting landscape and just a fascinating sky. Nice sense of the place. Thank you.
The Columbia River Gorge. It's more than just a natural wonder, but a critical transportation corridor for exporting wheat via barge to the rest of the world. Astoria, Oregon.
Yeah, great. So wonderful image of this area there. I mean, the two structures and then all those piles in the water, I think is very interesting. And I love the fact that you have that cargo ship of some sort in the background. I don't think that ship in the background is a barge per se, but it is some sort of cargo carrier, and it would be appropriate what you're trying to tell us here in the image. A great image, good feeling of the place, a lot of interesting features to look at here, great sky, a lot of good stuff here. Nice job. Thank you.
Point Reyes South Beach is an 11-mile expanse of undeveloped Pacific Ocean beach in the Point Reyes National Seashore, stretching over 11 miles in Marin County, California.
Yeah, so here, I have mixed feelings about this image. It's a great image of the surf line and the coastline. You're telling us where it is and the fact that it's a large expanse. But you've captured so much that a lot of the detail, a lot of the real focus, our interest in the different aspects of it is lost a little bit in terms of the expanse you're trying to capture. Now, maybe that's your intent. Maybe the intent of the maker is to show that this extends for a long period of time, a long location, a long geographical area, and that's enhanced by the caption, which is 11-mile expanse. And so the image sort of emphasizes that at the cost of giving us some of the up-close detail or the more feeling of the local environment. It's a balance that the maker needs to strike here, and I appreciate the balance you have here. I just don't think it has a lot of as much impact as other images that may have focused more on the cliff lines or the sea line. Thank you.
Travel Masters, 3 images. By starting the very popular Fisher Towers Trail in late afternoon, hikers can have nearly the entire trail to enjoy in solitude. Fisher Towers Trail, Moab, Utah.
Yes, it's a great place there. I've actually been there. I believe that pillar in the center area there is the Fisher Tower, and you can often sit there and watch climbers make the ascent up to that. That's a very popular place for rock climbers. Great image here. You give us a feeling of the place again, and the different area, the feeling of the foreground, a midground, and the background, I think are all nicely shown as well. And I do like the fact that we see some elements in the way background, especially on the left-hand side, gives me more of a sense of depth. But the one thing I probably would have done is I probably would have taken the rock formations that are behind the tower and darkened them just a little bit more to try to get that main Fisher Tower to show up against the rest. But that's a minor point. The rest of that is you're just giving us a feeling of this landscape, what it's like, and it's a nice representation of what it would be like to be there. Thank you.
At 970 square miles, Reunion Island is tiny. Helicopter flights like the two barely visible here are popular to access remote valleys and peaks over 10,000 feet. Part of France, it lies in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah. So here we have this image of a gorge here. It would be fairly difficult to understand the relative scale of that had you not had those helicopters there. And frankly, I missed the fact the helicopters were initially, and upon reading it again, then I saw that, and that immediately gives me a sense of scale. Now, the story here is about the gorge, though, and the area, and it's a little bit more shadowed. So once again, and I would have brought out a little bit more detail in the shadows. I wouldn't have eliminated the shadows, but I would have brought out a little bit more detail in the shadows to highlight those main aspects to fill out the picture. As it is now, the darkly shadowed areas exclude some detail, and I think that leaves some sort of blank spots within the presentation, and so we're losing a little bit there. Aside from that, interesting story, fun image, and I love the little waterfall spills we have at several points within the gorge. Thank you.
Take a selfie in front of the Taj Mahal, one of the world's most photographed locations. Completed in 1648 by Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan in memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal, Agra, India.
Yeah, so as a travel image, this is less about the location and the area it's in, and more how the people act when they're there, and that's sort of a fun story. I think it's not as strong as other travel images, but it still has a travel aspect to it that you're demonstrating, and with all the different people, I think that works out nice. Now, it's great that you did include the Taj Mahal in the background there and some of the other structures, which gives us more of a feeling of the place. But again, this image is about the people and how they react to that and how they're taking all these different selfies and photographing themselves in the location. And these are aspects of travel also that we can't ignore. So thank you.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break.
Okay. Nature, basic plus intermediate 2 images. The brown hyena, Parahyena bruneyi, also called the strand wolf, keeps a watchful eye out for predators while waiting in a watering hole to cool itself off. Kalagadi, Kalahari, South Africa.
Okay, so a great image here. You're giving us some natural behavior, and you're describing what that natural behavior is in your caption, and that's great. The image is fine. We got a wonderful view of the animal itself. It's as sharp as it needs to be. Your exposure is a little bit off. I suspect that when you shot this, you metered off of something other than the animal's face, which now put the face a little bit darker and the background a little lighter. In this case, if this were my image, I would be tempted to lighten the face up just a little bit. Not so much that it's not doesn't have the dark tones and the dark relative to the main, but just a little bit more that I can see a little bit more detail there, I think. And I think that's just a exposure issue with metering. But aside from that, great image and a nice rendition of this creature and its behavior. Thank you.
Sakura, or cherry blossom, bloom only for a very short period of time, 1 or 2 weeks. Life is short. How do you plan to find out joy and beauty during this transient passage of time?
Okay, this is a sort of a fun image. The image itself, you have all these different cherry blossoms, some close, some far, some separated, some obscured, all this type of thing. It's a very, very busy image, but there's a lot of interesting detail in there. And I think, though, this is image is more appropriate for pictorial than it is for wildlife. Yes, this is a natural tree, but what behavior, what aspects of this tree are you trying to show me? Even your caption is more descriptive of some sort of literary sense, and very little about the actual wildlife that you're trying to show in the image. And that's the real objective of this division. So again, I think this would be more appropriate in pictorial as an image. As an image, it's a fun image and I love it, but I think it's more appropriate in pictorial. Thank you.
Nature Advanced 5 images. Convergent bugs, Hippodamia convergens, gather closely in large groups to dipause, hibernate. This helps them conserve resources and brings males and females together for reproductive purposes.
Okay, so here we have this cluster of ladybug beetles. You've indicated why they're clustered together and what behavior that's involved in. I like the fact that you backed off a little bit to show me the environment that they're in. So I think that's very instructive, and those things work very nicely. I would have probably liked to seen the bugs in a little bit more detail. It's a little on the soft side for your main subjects. And since they're the star of the show, showing those just a little bit in greater detail, I think would have been a bit more effective. But I like what you've done here, and you've given me a nice story. Thank you.
This high precipitation supercell over McCook, Nebraska, has a bear's cage, the region under a rotating wall cloud where a tornado might drop, shrouded by rain and hail, punctuated by a lightning strike.
Yeah, so great image here. You have the action going on there, that lightning strike and all that rain funnels in there, some corpuscular rays with the sun in the background, which is very common with wall clouds. So that's fun. You have this interesting structure and cloud formations, and you have these different textures of where rain is versus where rain's not, and they're all there. So just a lot of really good stuff here. I don't find anything I would ever change in that. I love the image, and I love what you've done with this, and I think it's just an exceptional view of this weather event. Thank you.
Iceland's Aldiarfoss in winter, a remote waterfall amidst frozen basalt columns.
Yeah, I've seen this waterfall shown in many images in the past, but never in winter. So that's sort of fun. I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying the different ways the snow and the ice is interacting with the environment and the different basalt type of structures we have there. The waterfall itself is great. I like the shutter speed you use, which gives me a little flow in terms of the water, but there's still detail I can see there. And we just get a real good sense of the place there in this environment at this time of year. And that's a little bit unusual, and I applaud the maker for A, being there, and C, capturing and showing us this image. Great image there. It's fairly monochrome until you get to the blues and the golds, but I think that works out very nicely. So just an excellent shot of showing us this event at this time of year. Thank you.
50 species of Sympethrum are primarily distributed across the northern hemisphere, with 15 species in North America, where they are known as meadowlarks. In Europe, they are known as darters.
Okay, so you're giving us a couple of different nomenclatures that this dragonfly is known at. Let's see, you're telling, do you know what species this one is? That would be sort of interesting to know, because you're showing me one and saying that there are 50 species, okay, but which one is this, or do you know that? That might have been interesting. The darter itself is nicely shown, as much detail as needs to be, although it would have been fun to see a little bit more detail in the wing. We're sort of losing that, but this is what you got, so you're giving us that view here. We're looking on that side view with the back towards us more, so we're missing some of the head structures, and that tends to be an important aspect that when we're trying to showcase these type of little critters. Aside from that, though, great image, nice soft background. The species is shown nicely. I might consider darkening those leaves that are so bright just a little bit to make sure that your attention goes just to the darter itself, and is not being you're not being attracted by the bright yellow, green foliage we see in the foreground. Thank you.
Tricolor heron is blue-gray, lavender, and white on the neck and white belly. It wades through coastal waters, searching for small fish, blending into the background, aiding in his fishing expedition.
Okay, fun. You get this bird there. The bird I mean, the gray parts of the bird and the eyes and the beaks are very easy to see, as is with the neck. But it also tends to blend into the background, and I think he doesn't stand out hugely, and I think that's okay because that gives you a sense of how this coloration actually works in this environment, and that's good. You do mention that there's lavender on his neckline, and I keep looking for that, and I didn't see it. And so you sort of suggest that it's there in your title, yet I'm not seeing in the image. So that was just one thing I found myself looking for. And perhaps it may be the way the processing was done, or maybe how this is being presented. But we got a good, clean view of the image there. And as what's needed with any image like this, the eye and the beak and the head is very sharp. And that's where you go initially when you look at this image. So I think you did a good job of giving us that. Thank you.
Nature Masters, 3 images. Greater flamingos, Phenocopterus rosusus, inhabit the hypersaline lagoons of the Galapagos Islands. They use their large webbed feet to run on water, gaining speed before lifting into the sky.
Great. Nice peak of action shot here in mid run up to preparatory to flying there. You've given us in your caption the behavior that you're exhibiting, and now we can understand what we're really seeing there. We understand that maybe that was a foot, one of his foot hitting the water, pushing him off the surface that is leaving that splash. So we understand that as well. Artistically, he's nice and centered, and I don't think that's a bad thing in this case. There's definitely a place he's going to. I love the reflection, and I love the fact that the background is there to give us the environment, yet it's still soft enough that it's not distracting. A lot of great elements in this image, and a nice capture of this peak of action shot. Thank you.
Mosses are powerful natural air purifiers, capturing pollutants and carbon dioxide. Its ability to sequester carbon could be a game changer for climate change.
Okay, so yeah, aside from how it looks, you're telling us some of the importance of this kind of moss in terms of our environment. And as such, this is an appropriate and effective nature shot. It is static, as are the trees and the nature of your subjects, but still, you're giving us a good view of the moss and the trees around it in such a way that it's still clear to see, yet we appreciate the environment. So a lot of interesting things there. Fun shot. Enjoying what I'm looking at. Thank you.
Panther chameleons change color to regulate temperature or communicate. Exciting or relaxing its skin changes the density of specialized cells called iridophores, altering visible colors. Madagascar.
Yeah, great image here. I love the close-up of the animal itself. Enough detail to really be able to just peruse and look at all the elements of the skin. You got the eye there, you got the nose elements and the mouth elements with the coloration there. I love the one of his feet are up, so we have a little bit of a sense of motion, though I imagine they're not very fast movers. And just a lot of fun stuff. The background is still important as it gives us a sense of the environment, but it's not distracting at all or just competing with the same subjects. I think that works out nicely. The tail is a little on the soft side, but that doesn't bother me as much because the real bang for your buck is along the ridge line, the body, and the head, and all the interesting detail we have there. And that's nice, tack sharp, and as clear as it needs to be to tell us the story. Thank you.
Pictorial, basic plus intermediate, 2 images. Solitude, Almaden Lake Park, San Jose, California.
Yeah, so this is a fun image, and I do enjoy the feeling we have here. And you have your subject there that's clearly identifiable, but in silhouette. And then you have the different elements of the image as well, between the water, the far shoreline, and that wonderful sky. Pictorially speaking, there is a large distance between the head of your subject and the tree line in the background. There's a lot of empty water there. One thing you might consider doing is actually selecting the whole area and some of the water on the top and copying that, moving it down to cut out some of the area right above the subject. That would condense all the main elements that are giving you this feeling without detracting from the solitude type of feeling you have. Other thing that I might do on this image is, since solitude is your main focus here, I might consider reducing some of the background in the islands and the tree lines and maybe a little in the foreground. By even darkening those a little bit more, you're really going to bring out less detail, more simplicity, which will only emphasize your concept of solitude. A lot of fun stuff here. And I think with some simple things, you can really bring this image to the next level. Thank you.
The time it takes. Sparkling wine resting in the caves of Schramsberg Winery until it's just right. Calistoga, California.
Yeah, this is a great image here with all the different bottles that are laid down and the different formations they have there. A little bit of the green color, which I think works out very nicely. The dust is very clear. We have sort of a textured shot with the angled light hitting all the different bottles. And yet that bottle cap being yellow or orangish red is a nice counterpoint. So that works out nicely. In this case here, I might suggest that you can even bring out a little bit more of the nature of this image by increasing your micro contrast a little bit. That's either your contrast or your texture sliders. Might bring out a little bit more detail without detracting from the story you're trying to tell, but give us a little bit more feeling of the wonderful detail that you captured in this image. Just something to think about. Thank you.
Pictorial advanced 9 images. Dahlias have the best curves.
Yeah, fun. This is great. I love this close-up macro shot here of the central area of a dahlia. You get all these interesting swirls and curls and things, all sorts of things there. Nothing is symmetrical, nothing is the same, and yet there's a lot of form and function and texture that you're showing us in that central area. Then you have the very subtle gradation of the different colorations emanating from the center outwards. And I think that's done very nicely as well. I think your crop is very, very well done, and it highlights the main area, but still gives us a feeling for the rest of the flower bloom. Just a great picture here, and I'm enjoying it immensely. Nice job. Thank you.
Set in Solitude, Yaquina Lighthouse, Oregon coast.
Okay, so this is about the lighthouse in an environment where you're getting a sense of solitude. And I can see where you're going here, but I don't know if I really get that feeling, especially with that bright, bright, bright sky. It's really competing with the lighthouse. And so I find that I'm not really getting that sense of peacefulness because I have that bright element that is just really pulling me away. And so here, really trying to tone down that bright element if you can, bring out a little bit more detail in the lighthouse, maybe back out a little bit to show me larger area of emptiness around the lighthouse might then aid to your concept of solitude. And I see where you're trying to go with that, but I don't know if the image really conveys that to the extent you may have thought. Thank you.
Where Earth meets water.
Yeah, fun stuff here. I love this. Multiple layered shots with a lot of subtle difference in the different layers. Just nicely done. I really enjoy that. These are hard shots to get, and I applaud you for doing that. I think this is great. I like the foreground, midground, and background. I like the different layered effects. I like the fact that things get a little bit softer and softer if you go back into the distance, giving me a sense of distance there. And I think though you can bring this even to the next level. I think you can add a little bit more detail throughout that, especially the sky. Not so much that it becomes overwhelming, but there's indications there's a little bit of detail there, and I would have brought that out just a bit more. Maybe add a little bit more contrast. It doesn't have a lot of really, really dark here. And I think by adding some more darks there, darkening the foreground cliff areas and maybe some of the aspects in the water might add to the sense of depth and the sense of dimension in the image. Thank you.
A place to sleep, perchance to dream.
Yeah, this is really a great image for Pictorial because you're showing me reality, but you're showing me in a way that there's several different layers, both reality and perhaps with that mural in the background, a dreamlike existence as well. And you got immediately showing me the contrast between those and the barriers that might exist between those, as evidenced by the barbed wire there. So just a lot of fun stuff here, a lot of interesting story to be told, and yet this is just reality captured within your lens in such a way that your story is there for all to see. Nice job. Thank you.
Falling water.
Yeah, again, peak of action shot with all this, the waterfall there. Again, I love the exposure and the time, the shutter speed you used. So we see detail in the flow and not everything is all smoothed out. And I think that detail is part of the story. I love, where water is hitting the brightest part and all the mist there where the water is hitting the base. That works out nicely. And as you move up, I just enjoy the different structure you see there. Had this been my image, I would have been tempted to add a little bit more micro contrast, to add just a little bit more structure into some elements within the water to even bring my interest a little bit more. Again, a little bit more of the darker elements may help this image somewhat. Thank you.
Yellow and black.
Okay, so in this image, yes, you were showing us the bee on its flower, and that's very effective. But your story is indicating that it's the combination of the bee and the flower in terms of the color palette that are part of the story. So I'm less concerned about being 100% focused on the bee itself. Also, I'm a little bit less concerned in the terms of the flower. Some of the spiny elements towards me are a little bit soft, so we lose some of the detail there. Your plane of focus or your depth of focus was insufficient to capture everything there. But your title tells me that, I'm not being a stickler for the flower or the bee. And there, so the caption does a good job of trying to give me a sense of balance of where it was important. So I'm willing to accept that the bee isn't imperfect and the flower is imperfect, and yet I'm still enjoying this show you're telling me here. And that's something you can do in Pictorial that you can't often do in other types of divisions. Thank you.
Hills, Yorkshire Dales, England.
Yeah, great image there. Wonderful image. Now, when we're looking at this, only two of these blooms are truly sharp and in focus, and those are the ones in the very center. With a little bit softness on the ones for us, and as you go back, to get softer and softer. Now, that's okay. You get a good sense of depth here. That narrow plane of focus isn't a very effective technique to use. And so I think you're using that selected focus, that thin plane of depth of field to highlight only some aspects, really tells things very nicely. Again, here, I really want you to focus on the middle, and your selected focus gets me there. I would have emphasized that a little bit more by perhaps adding a very subtle vignette around the outside to de-emphasize the outside even a little bit more to pull me into the main elements. But aside from that, I think you really did a nice job in your selective capture of critical elements. Thank you.
Tarn House, Lake District, England.
Yeah, fun image. A lot of it, just a great landscape. You got nice foreground, midground, and background, interesting cloud formations. You got some layered effect in terms of the greenery and the different types of tones of greens and yellows and browns you have in there. I loved seeing the reflection of the sky and the water in the foreground. So nice job of capturing that. Just a lot of great things here. I think your crop and your composition works finely. Yes, there's sort of a horizon line sort of in the middle, but I think it works in this case, especially since reflection is part of your aspect that you're trying to show in this image. So Just a lot of fun stuff here. I think it's as sharp as it needs to be. And I like the fact that you didn't overwhelm us in the color. You kept it a little on the muted side. And I think that's very realistic and gives us a good sense of the place as well. Nice job. Thank you.
Beautiful Sonoma coast.
Yeah. So here we got, again, a low level shot where you got the foreground with these plants in there, and then you have some sort of cliff line, and then the interesting sky there. I think that's a very interesting shot. Your caption says beautiful Sonoma coast. And I guess I would have expected to see more of a coast in this image. Your title sort of sets the expectation that that's where I'm trying to go, and yet I don't see that here. I don't know. You may want to look back about that and think about that to whether your caption is perhaps setting an expectation that the image itself isn't really capturing. Now, the image itself is great. I love the reddish sort of color of the foreground there. Gorgeous sky with the sunset there, some water elements. That's great. I don't know if you need quite as much on the bottom. You might crop up a little bit there. It's a little heavy on the sort of brownish foliage. And if you crop up maybe a third from the bottom, I think you get a better balance of the different elements without detracting it all from your story. Thank you.
Pictorial Masters 5 images. Death Valley, Mesquite Flat, and sand dunes under the Milky Way.
Yeah, just a great image. The unique elements of the Mesquite Flat and the sand dunes and Death Valley, I think, is a focus. And then you have that wonderful Milky Way image as well, the night sky. Just a great thing. A lot of interesting elements. I like the fact that you did the exposure in such a way, and this may have been a multiple exposure. Maybe you shot the flats and the dunes at one time of night, and then the Milky Way at another time of night, and then so you still have enough detail in the foreground. I think that was a good choice. It really balances the elements and gives us there. So just a great image, impressive to do. It's not a simple shot. There's a lot that has to go into that. And I think what you did is fine, and it's well executed. Thank you.
Hummingbird and showy milkweed bloom.
Yeah, okay, great. So here we got some hummingbird feeding, and that's fine. You captured it in such a way that there's not a lot of distractions around the hummingbird. That's great. I love the fact that we see some of the milkweed behind it that is very soft. Gives me, again, sense of depth, as do the soft leaves behind the main stem of the milkweed is feeding on. These are important as they give me a sense of depth in the image. In terms of the actual hummingbird, here, I probably would have tried to go a bit faster shutter speed. I would have liked to see more about the wings, because it almost looks like he's incomplete because we don't see the wings. Yeah, we see a slight blur that indicates the wings might be there, but by going a little bit faster shutter speed, I think you could have begun to capture some of the wings, even though they may be a little blurred, which I think would balance the presentation of the hummingbird. Thank you. Yeah, so here's a fun image, and I'm enjoying this. There's sort of a color, there may have been a color treatment applied to this to give that sort of have shifted the color balance off a little bit. And I think that's fun. It's an artistic shot, and we're enjoying that. I think the three main elements of this image are the water lilies, which has predominantly that bluish tone. Then you have the water in between there, which you got the wonderful reflections from the environment around it, where we get the reds and the light greens. And then you have the sharp blooms. And I would have accentuated that. I think I would have selected all the lilies and darkened them, or maybe darken them a little bit. I probably would have darkened the water even more. And then on some of the lilies that are shadowed, I would have brought them up a little bit just to increase the contrast between those, because there's sort of a sameness to there that I think detracts a little bit from the presentation. But again, this is primarily an artistic presentation, which is really appropriate for a pictorial. So take these comments with a grain of salt because your artistic vision might be different than mine. Thank you.
Landscape sunrise.
Yeah, fun. Great image here. I love the textures, the shadowing, the early low light. The sunrise works out very nicely. The differential lighting on the hills, bringing out different aspects of them. The wonderful colors, I think, works out fine. And then you have that background that gives us a sense of the area around them. All those are critical elements. You might have been able to pump up the color even a little bit more. Maybe not so much the blues, as I would have been tempted to pump up the yellows just a little bit. There's sort of a washed out feel to this that I think at this time of day probably those golds were a little bit deeper. I think they could afford to be without disrupting your general feel and your presentation. But again, this is a maker's decision in this case. Thank you.
Winter storm action at Goat Rock Beach.
Yeah, so peak of action shot of the waves here. Surf shots are really interesting. You know, you see them, you're impressed with them when you're at the beach, and you shoot away like mad to try to capture them. Then you go back and you look at them on the screen and you wonder what you were shooting. And it's difficult to capture that sense of energy. And yet I think you've been very successful in this image of capturing that. So kudos for that. I realize it's a lot more difficult than it seems, even though you have so many shots to choose from. In this case, again, like I had mentioned in some of the other shots where we had the water and flow of water, on the lighter parts there, I would add a little bit more contrast to the water to bring out just a little bit more detail in the structure there. And I might even darken some of the darker areas of water. I want to build a little bit more contrast. I want to build a little bit more detail in the water, all to enhance even further the sense of energy that you work so hard to collect here. Thank you.
Okay, we've gone through all our images. We'll take another 5-minute break. I'll turn it over to
Okay.
Steve.
Humor Basic, 2 images, second place. Lindsay. Congratulations to Lindsay. First place.
Wow.
Helen.
That's what's so
Great.
cute.
Yeah. It's a different look for you, Helen.
Congratulations to Helen.
Sorry, I was on mute. I'm sorry.
Oh, there you are.
No, I
Go
was
ahead.
talking, but nothing was happening. I said, yes, I love my peanut butter.
Never heard of that brand.
It's a South African. It's equivalent to what your Skippies is. Skippies is your famous brand. Black Cat is our famous brand.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Humor Advanced, 4 images, honorable mention. Tamara.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wondered where
24
she was.
millimeters? Wow.
Yeah, what makes it look like she was laying on her belly looking right at it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah, really.
Congratulations to Tamara. Third place. Liz.
Someone you know, Liz?
No, I saw this person outside of Oliver's like a few years ago, several years ago. And I just kept it in my dog files because I thought it was funny. And when I came up with humor, I said, all right.
They do
That's
look
awesome.
alike in their expression.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Congratulations. Second place. Bill.
I love that.
Thank you.
Oh,
So this actually was 105 degrees in the shade under a Japanese maple in our backyard on our deck. And the squirrel spends a lot of time in that Japanese maple. And it just felt like he was glowering at me. What have you
Burn
done?
down the heat.
Exactly. Should mention
Congratulations.
Oh,
First place.
that I wasn't sure what to do for this category and didn't really have any good ideas. And I've completely forgotten about this image. And then Jennifer mentioned this image because it's about 9 years old or 8 years old. Like that. Thank you, Jennifer. Otherwise, I wouldn't have thought of it.
it's
Great
awesome.
image. I love it.
First place, Mark.
Well,
I wouldn't have guessed. That was Mark.
No.
very creative.
It looks like it's some kind of a beetle or something that maybe it's
Yeah.
a dung beetle pushing
I think
something
it's a
around.
snail.
It looks like a snail. Yeah.
Snail.
Yeah.
Okay. Snail.
Little feet.
So there's
Yeah.
several layers of circular going on.
Busy guy.
Congratulations to Mark. Travel, basic plus intermediate, 3 images, 3rd place. Susan.
Very nice, Susan.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Congratulations.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
welcome to the club.
Yes,
Thank
welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I love all the textures. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So much to look at.
Boy, that roof is really something.
Yeah, so's the deck because you can see daylight through it. I mean,
Right,
you can
yeah.
see the shadows. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
anyone's walking out there.
Nobody's walking.
I don't think it would meet the building codes here in California.
Yeah, I'd be afraid to hang my laundry up there.
Congratulations. 2nd place. Elizabeth.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah.
A cool concept too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nice
Story.
scene.
Congratulations to Elizabeth. 1st place. Helen.
Nice, Ellen.
Yeah.
Thank
Really
you.
nice.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Well done.
Really good.
Well done.
Thanks.
I can feel like I'm there. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice story too.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Travel Advance, 3 images, 3rd place. Pat.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very remote. And I could have cropped in the river a little bit, but it was part of the title, so I wasn't quite sure how much I should leave in or out. So thanks for your tips.
So you rode a camel?
No, we hiked. The camel carried the tents and the food. We were hiking.
But those camels really are fun to ride. Those nice warm humps. Then you get
They
right
can carry a
between
lot of weight too. They're mainly used for transport animals. People don't ride them there. They're used in place of vehicles, but you really can't always get vehicles back here.
Congratulations. 2nd place. Linda.
She's not here tonight.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Great image.
Great sky for that. It's really
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah.
It's really
Layers of clouds.
And all the little piers.
She got the
Congratulations
boat,
to
too.
Linda. 1st place. Trisha.
Oh, it's
Yay!
beautiful.
Really something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful and instructional.
Congratulations to Trisha. Travel Masters, 3 images, 3rd place. Bill.
Oh, neat.
This is great.
Yeah.
Clever.
Yeah, morning light, particularly this very spot, was so crowded with photographers. I finally decided, well, I'll just take pictures of photographers.
I agree.
Yeah, I love the travel story.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Second place. Tamara.
Quite something.
It is a wild looking place.
Well,
Yeah,
Yeah, the helicopters in the light. It's really nice.
yeah, that really makes it that to see
Yeah,
that with
yeah.
it.
There
Oh,
is.
look at that. Yeah.
And suddenly you see the scale.
I wonder if she was in a helicopter.
Hope so.
Or on the edge.
Congratulations to Tamara. First place. Herb.
Yep. I recognize Lori.
Yep, and her red backpack.
What a wild looking place that is too, but totally different from the other one.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Congratulations to Herb.
Mm-hmm.
Nature, basic plus intermediate, 2 images. Second place. Lindsay.
Oh, congratulations, Lindy. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Love the colors.
Just
Oh, thank you. I was very confused about this category. I didn't understand that nature is supposed to be a wildlife photo.
Well, Lindsay, that's not quite right. The subject is appropriate for nature. It has to be anything that's not a hybrid. But it's not just a place to showcase anything in nature. It's to show specific behaviors or coloration that has a reason or something that you want to demonstrate about the subject that you're demonstrating.
Okay. I'm still
It's
learning.
It's less of an artistic type of presentation, which is more in the pictorial range. But
Okay.
you're not alone in trying to figure that one out. That's very common. So still a great image.
Thank you. I'm still learning. So thank you for the feedback.
Yeah.
Yep.
Congratulations. First place. Helen.
Congratulations.
Looks cute.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, everybody.
Congratulations.
That's eyes.
Nature Advanced, 3 images. Third place. Trisha.
Congratulations to Krisha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always wanted to
Very
see
interesting.
I've never been able to find this, but I know it's around.
Sugarloaf.
I hear it's in Oakland somewhere. There's a spot.
It's like you don't see it unless you're right on it. From
Yeah.
a distance, it's just like hard to see.
Congratulations to Trisha. Second place. Linda.
Love this.
Nice.
Yeah, beautiful.
Congratulations to Linda.
Yes.
First place. Sherry.
I knew that was yours, Sherry.
Oh,
beautiful.
thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Amazing.
That's an amazing photograph. Amazing touch.
Mhm. I love how it has so much information. It's so beautiful. It's pictorial and it's scientific. And you give
Yes.
in just that amount of word of characters so much information. I never heard of a bear's cage before.
Would have been great to
you.
have audio if we could, just to hear what this is
Oh my
like. It must have
gosh.
been spectacular.
Yeah, we're like 3-4 miles away and it's rain and hail and it's deafening even that far.
Wow.
Yeah, the roar.
Mm.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
Detector.
Are you using a lightning trigger, Sherry?
Yes.
Okay.
Congratulations. Nature Masters, 3 images, 3rd place.
Nice.
And
Yay.
It's hard to compete with wildlife with just moss. I wanted to put it in there anyway. I didn't think I'd win much. Thank you.
Got a great story.
Yes.
I just love these trees, how they look, all covered. And the story, it's going to save the planet. If anything will, it'll be moss.
Or that's what will cover us all.
Yeah. They say there's enough moss in Canada for if you took all the moss throughout the world, it would cover Canada.
Wow.
How much moss it is, and it grows in deserts and all sorts of stuff. I wanted to put all this in the story, but they don't give me enough words, so.
Right.
congratulations. 2nd place. Tamara.
This is such a great.
I love it.
I love the hands.
I mean, the 2 different greens, it's brilliant that she has, it's,
Yeah.
it of
And
course,
the eyes.
color, but it's like this brilliant green that my eye goes to, and then the pretty bokeh of green is.
And that eye, the
Yeah,
eye is.
I like the little foot.
Yeah, the
raised up.
I want to shake hands.
Yeah. So sweet.
The human eye is sensitive to more shades of green, way more than blue or red.
Oh.
Congratulations to Tamara. 1st place. Herb.
This is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
It could have been a shot for humor too.
Yeah.
Could have.
Yeah.
Gotta go, gotta go.
We laugh.
Boat runner, yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Herb.
Yay.
Pictorial Basic plus Intermediate, 2 images. 2nd place. Elizabeth.
I remember this one. Well done.
I love how dusty they are.
Stay in there a long time, huh?
Yeah. Time it takes. That's a good title.
Could have been an alternate texture. Congratulations to Elizabeth. 1st place. Susan.
Well done.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Thank you. I moved from San Jose just 3 months ago, and Almaden Lake Park was my favorite place to go and shoot. There is a lot of wildlife there, a lot of birds, and just a lot going on. So I miss it.
We have some great parks up here.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
Nice.
starting to explore them.
Yeah, I can see all the egrets. Is that an island in the middle?
Yes,
Yeah, they're all
yeah,
coming
and
into
it's
roost.
full of egrets. And last year there was probably more than one, but there was a nest over on the island, and I went back several times and captured the babies as they were growing. And, did some research on the habits of the egrets, and it's really very interesting. They pair through the mating season, the mother and the father, and through raising the little ones. And the father will sit and guard the mom and the babies for hours and hours and hours. That's his job, to make sure that they stay safe.
Congratulations.
Maybe I'll submit, one from that series at some point.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Pictorial Advanced, 4 images, honorable mention. Ed.
Beautiful sky.
I love it.
Yeah, beautiful light.
Mhm.
Looks like the coast.
Congratulations to Ed. Third place, Ellen.
Beautiful. Where was this, Ellen?
Thank you. This is Milford Sound in New Zealand.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Wow.
Yeah, that does kind of look like a Lord of the Rings scene. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's actually a fjord.
Second place, Ronnie.
Yay.
Thank you.
Very beautiful one.
Dahlia's and I have bonded.
You go way back.
Yeah. This is called, this dahlia is called Cafe au Lait. And it's very pink here. It's not really that pink. Yeah, sometimes it does look like Cafe au Lait, but I just love the curls.
Yeah.
So thank you.
It looks like a beautiful gown to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Beautiful flower.
Congratulations. First place, Ed.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Beautiful.
Congratulations to Ed. Pictorial Masters, 4 images, honorable mention. Liz.
Gorgeous, Liz.
I just love this. I could have this on my wall.
Yep.
I'm looking at it every day.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll put it in our show, like print it nicely.
Yes, do that.
Idea.
I liked your idea, Charlie, of darkening the pads.
Yeah. I can go for that a little bit more detail, but that sort of brings out that magnifies the difference between those without disrupting your color and your composition.
Tell us what you did to get the blue.
It was in the shade.
Oh,
so I think it was naturally, I kind of took some blue out of it.
Wow.
Because it was really blue.
That makes sense.
The orangey, it was fall reflection of fall trees in the other part.
Oh, gorgeous.
Great colors.
Congratulations. Third place, Bill.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments, Charlie, on bringing out more detail. Yeah, we'll work on it.
Yeah, it's just I call it micro contrast, but the texture slider in Adobe Camera Raw or in Lightroom brings that out. But you do that with masks, so you only bring it out in areas you want.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Congratulations. Second place, Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Oh, thank you.
But it's a showstopper.
So it is gorgeous.
Oh,
Yeah.
You don't have
belongs in National Geographic.
Well,
I'm
maybe
glad
not
you
quite.
re-entered it.
Yeah. That's Las Vegas over the horizon there. Kind of almost spoiled it, but it did light some other things up. So
yeah.
Was
Is
this
it a
all?
composite?
Was this all one? Was this all one shots?
yes, all one shot. Yes.
Okay, so you didn't composite it, or you didn't brighten the salt flats up.
No, it was all one shot. It was long enough. There were some other people were doing things that did light up the flat a little bit. It wasn't light painting or anything, but there was some activity around that did light it up.
Yeah.
Plus Las Vegas.
Yeah. 10-second exposure.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
First place. Herb.
That's a beauty. Wow.
Beautiful light.
Yeah, he caught the morning light just perfectly.
The subtle colors that he's so good at color grading that complementary colors, but so subtly so beautiful.
Yep.
Congratulations to Herb. And the best image of the evening goes to
Hey.
Oh my goodness.
Sherry.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm flattered.
Just an exceptional shot, both in the variety of attributes you're covering, that peak of action with the lightning, the color, just an exquisite job.
Well, thank you. I really, it really means a lot. Thank you.
Well done.
Got all the lightning right behind the dark gray. How did you do that?
I don't know. It was, it's the only one that I got that whole trip where the lightning's coming from like so high. Usually it's coming out from the clouds, and this one's coming from, who knows where. It's so high.
Yeah. You didn't draw it on there.
No. No.
With a white lightning pen.
Do you know if a tornado actually did develop from it?
Not there, not that day.
That is a spectacular downpour, though, to be under that because it's so close together and tight. And it's just, if you look at the top of the image, this is dropping from probably 10,000 feet all the way down. And what you're lucky here is sometimes in this situation, you get the softball size hail. And if you're under that, it's extremely destructive.
Oh, one of the places, Jennifer was with me on this trip too. One of the places we went to in Ray, Colorado, the whole front of the hotel we stayed at was shattered. I mean, there was fist-sized holes in it and boarded up windows and dented cars. And we stopped in one little town at the supermarket, the little grocery store, and I was talking to a farmer. She was like third generation farmer there, and she said it's time for hail because my crops are almost ripe.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Oh, frustrating.
But thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, any more
Yeah,
questions?
thank you,
much.
Charlie. Charlie, I
Any questions?
actually have a question for you.
Sure, Sherry.
Yeah, I had the Elks Club has gone to the dogs, the composite in CF. And I searched for and applied. It's not AI, none of it is AI, but that's my question. I looked for like brush strokes. I actually found something in Topaz that I could put on the tuxedo jacket that would make it look like dog's fur. So, but I didn't put it everywhere. It's not on the shirt, it's not on the tie, it's not on the vest, it's just on the jacket. So that was really intentional. But it's not the first time I've heard that a piece of my creative work is someone had said, "Oh, that's AI." So, what would you recommend, like in competition, when you're bringing something forward that you don't want a judge to mistake for AI? How would that be handled?
There's nothing wrong with parenthetically saying no AI employee.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so, and especially in creative, sometimes creative, and Nancy knows this, sometimes you do a creative composite so well, you can't tell it's a composite. And one of the aspects for creative, although this wasn't creative here, was one of the aspects for creative is that the creative nature needs to be evident. And sometimes if you do it so well, it isn't evident. So you can sort of hint in the title
Okay.
that it's a composite. Now I can marvel, and you tell me it's a composite, yet it all looks so integrated well that I understand the creativity that went into it. So
Gotcha.
in a situation like you, Sherry, I would have said no AI employed.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
that would have answered the question right away. And then people would say, "Hey, well, then you got about this in a different way," and I like that. And I wanted to raise the story, but I didn't want to accuse, saying because I didn't know. But I did notice that it was only on parts of the jacket, and that differential treatment of things that are little on the bizarre side often is seen in AI images.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And so that gave me sort of thing that I said, well, maybe, but I'm glad you let me know. And that was something. But yeah, if you take a look, the brush strokes on the jacket here is very different than that. And if I don't know if you can magnify it up, but
yeah, I tried to make it look like the hair on the head.
I didn't tell you honestly. I saw the brush strokes there, but I didn't make the connection.
Okay.
So,
I can see where you're
question
going.
about when saying no AI. What if you have removed, some elements from a photo and used AI in Lightroom or Photoshop to do that?
That's a good point. Now, the way we've done it in N4C, and I was part of the committee, the person who put this rule together, is if you use a tool that uses AI, we're going to treat whatever pixels is add, we're going to treat it the same as we would any graphic element. So you need to have created it, and it can't predominate on the image, but it can go into pictorial, monochrome, or creative. So if you're right, you're absolutely right. The remove tool will actually add back AI generated elements when it takes out something. And as long as we're going to instead of disallowing that, we just said if the elements are small and don't predominate in the image, it's fine. Because there's no way I'm going to stop you from using it. It's too effective a tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the other thing we said is that we just characterized that AI generated pixels should be treated like graphic elements, and the way we've been treating those things as well. You have to generate it; it can't predominate, that type of thing. So you're right. Yes, it does generate that, but we're allowing that because it's very effective, and that's where the state of the art is going. But there was a good 2 years we wrestled with that single question. So good point.
Thank you.
I like your micro contrast.
This was in the category I just want to comment. Then I thought maybe that also may have been one of the reasons that maybe AI was generated, because it was sort of that unique comment. Yes, Liz.
I was just saying I liked your comment about micro contrast. Like I'm going to try it some more in my images. Let's see.
Yeah. Hold on just for a second here. Let me quickly pull something up here. I always forget this, and I have to go look it up again. Under Adobe Camera Raw, under effects, the texture and clarity sliders are what I generally classify as adding micro contrast. And it's a texture and clarity sliders in Lightroom in the develop mode. What that does is it just adds contrast between elements that are small. So it tends to deepen things, and it tends to richen that. It tends to make edges a little bit. It's sort of sharpening, but it sometimes adds a little bit more contrast and brings out elements that you saw and you captured, but maybe in one part of your bloom you need to bring that out a little bit more than another part. So using that kind of technique in conjunction with masks is very, very effective.
Sounds like a program.
It's a capability. It's a capability in both Lightroom and Photoshop, and some of the on one and different aspects. They're building it in more and more. But that's something that I do a lot. But part of that is my personal taste as well. And I hope I was clear that I may have suggested things, but sometimes the suggestions reflected my personal taste. So I tried to say, you know, take this with a grain of salt, or maybe you think differently, and that's cool as well. I understand that.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other questions, concerns, things you didn't like?
No, I think you did it. You did a great job.
Really?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
Very
very
good.
helpful comments.
All right. Well, I do it. I know I'd probably give a little bit more comments than many judges, but my way of thinking is you earned it. You submitted an image like
Appreciate it.
that. You put a lot of work
Appreciate your
into
help.
it. You deserve hearing at least what I thought. And sometimes I don't have a lot of negative comments to make, but to me, it's as important for me to mention the things that worked well, because you may not realize that you did these things and it helped a lot, but you didn't realize that. And so to me, this is education. And so for me to point out the things that worked well, you may go, I didn't even try to do that, but I didn't realize that was a real helpful thing. So in your next image, you may say that may be something you want to play with a little bit. So it's important to talk about both of those. And so, but I'm not afraid if I don't like something to indicate I don't like it, but hopefully I should have a reason why.
You're very
Do it
kind.
in a very tactful way.
I've been in your shoes. I know what it's like to have a judge comment that. And what gets me is they'll comment something and I'll go, oh God, he's right. How did I miss that? So that's not uncommon with our images as well. It's very difficult sometimes to see these things in your images because you live with them from cradle to grave, because you live with them from the instant you walked up to the scene to your decision to raise the camera, to hitting the shutter button, and everything that goes on from there. You know what that image should show because you know how you felt. It's harder to really put that aside and ask yourself the question, does this image really communicate that? And that's an advanced skill that we all take a lot of work. And I know I'm still working on that. So if you find that's the difficulty, join the club. You're on the right path. Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night. Thanks
Thank
all.
you.
Thanks.
Good night.
Night.